in the dappled twilight of the whispering woods, where the trees leaned close, as if sharing secrets, and the brook babbled in riddles. Only the clever could decipher there wandered a fox named Virell, not the sly trickster of fables, but a creature burdened by an unusual curse. He could not lie. Every word that left his mouth was true. So true it often startled the squirrels into dropping their acorns, and made the old badger healer sigh and retreat into her den whenever he passed. "The mushrooms are poison," he'd say, and they were. "You're going to lose that tooth," he'd warn, and by dawn, it would be gone. The animals respected him, but they did not trust him. For truth, when unsoftened, can be sharper than thorns. He lived alone in a hollow beneath the roots of the great elm, surviving on berries and the occasional fish he outsmarted with patience rather than deceit. But Virell longed for companionship, for someone who could bear the weight of his honesty without flinching. And so, when one mist-laden morning he came upon a cat draped across a sun-warmed stone like a ribbon of smoke, her fur the color of midnight, and her eyes 2 shards of emerald fire, he paused. "Her name was Mira," she said, "and she was a traveler, a teller of tales, a weaver of words so enchanting that even the wind would hush to hear her. She could make a lie sound like a lullaby, a half-truth bloom into legend. I once convinced a bear he was a prince," she purred, licking a paw. "He still leaves honey at my doorstep." Virell was fascinated. Here was the opposite of everything. He was fluid where he was rigid, mysterious where he was plain. And yet, when she looked at him, there was no fear in her gaze, only curiosity. "You're the truth speaker," she said, not as accusation, but as wonder. "I've heard of you. The fox who cannot lie, and you're the cat who cannot stop," he replied. She laughed, a sound like coins tumbling down a marble stair. They began to walk together, the fox with his blunt observations, the cat with her winding stories, and slowly, an unlikely friendship bloomed. She told him of cities built on clouds, of rivers that flowed uphill, of a king who ruled with a heart of glass. He told her the sky wasn't actually blue, but scattered light, that the cloud cities didn't exist, that glass hearts shattered too easily to rule. And yet, she never grew angry. Instead, she'd tilt her head and say, "But wouldn't it be lovely if they were true?" Over time, Virell found himself smiling more, his steps lighter. He began to see beauty in her lies not as falsehoods, but as dreams given voice. And when the village of Hollow Branch was threatened by a drought, it was Mira who convinced the villagers the old well was magical, that singing to it would summon water. They did. And though it was the spring thaw that truly refilled it, the joy in their hearts was real. Virell watched her, a strange ache in his chest. He had spent his life bound by truth, but she made lies feel like kindness. Then came the night of the Eclipse Festival, when the moon turned blood red, and the forest held its breath. Mira gathered the creatures beneath the great elm and said, "I will tell one final tale, the truest story I know." The animals hushed, even the crickets stilled. "Long ago," she began, "there was a fox cursed to speak only truth, and a cat blessed to speak only lies. They met, and though they were opposites, they became friends. But the world feared their power, truth and falsehood side by side, and so the gods set a test. If the fox ever told a lie, his voice would vanish forever. If the cat ever spoke a truth, she would turn to stone at dawn." Virell listened, uneasy. The story felt too close. "One day," Mira continued, "the cat was captured by hunters. The fox found her cage, but could not break it, so he whispered a lie. 'I don't care what happens to you.' The cage opened because the lie broke his curse and the cat escaped. But at dawn, the fox was gone, his voice stolen by the gods. And the cat, hearing his sacrifice, looked at the sunrise and said, 'I loved him,' and turned to stone where she stood. A tear slid down Mira's cheek. The animals wept.
Virell's heart pounded. "It's just a story," he said. "Isn't it?"
She turned to him, her eyes glistening. "Isn't it?" That night, he couldn't sleep. The tale haunted him. The next morning, he found Mira gone. Only a single green feather lay where she had rested. He followed her trail to the edge of the Petrified Glade, a place of stone animals frozen in eternal poses. And there, in the center, was a statue of a cat, one paw outstretched, her face lifted to the sky as if caught mid. Horror gripped him. He fell to his knees. No, he whispered. This isn't real. This isn't. And then, the statue moved. One emerald. I blinked. Mira stepped down from her stone prison, stretching like a cat after a nap. Got you? She said, grinning. The twist was not that the story was real, but that it was a trap-a-tale designed to test him. Mira wasn't a cat at all. She was a Fable Warden, a guardian of balance, sent to find the one creature who could withstand the seduction of lies without losing truth. The entire story, the curse, the bond, the sacrifice had been a test, and when Virell had believed the tale enough to grieve, to doubt, to nearly break his own nature, he had passed. You see? Mira said, her form shimmering as she revealed her true self, a being of starlight and syllables. The world doesn't need more liars or truth. It needs those who can hold both without breaking. You didn't lie when you said the story wasn't real, but you felt it. That's the rarest magic of all. Virell stared at her, then at the forest. Now, waking in golden light, he had spent his life fearing his curse. But perhaps it wasn't a curse at all. Perhaps it was a gift, one that, when met with the right kind of lie, could make the world believe in something better. And as they walked back through the trees, the fox and the cat side by side, one speaking truth, the other weaving dreams, the whispering woods finally understood why stories were born in the first place. Not to deceive, not to bind, but to bring the unbelievable just close enough to touch.